The King County Council is today taking a major vote to potentially dismantle the King County Regional Homelessness Authority. Why? Well, the agency is missing millions of dollars. A recent audit also found that potentially some of the executives could be some fraud involved, or certainly some questionable spending of millions of taxpayer dollars. This could be a unanimous vote by day's end with the King County Council, and which is significant because it is a Democrat majority, of course, on the King County Council, and many of those members have for years defended the King County Regional Homelessness Authority, even as their numbers and their projected expectations for results have not been met year after year. This is a significant vote, and I was able to have a conversation today, a video conversation with King County Council member Stephanie Feain, who introduced the legislation to potentially dismantle the agency after the recent audit. So we'll bring that to you, an exclusive offering today on the Washington in Focus Tuesday episode. Let's dive in. Now, with millions of taxpayer dollars intended to address homelessness unaccounted for by the King County Regional Homelessness Authority, the King County Council has today brought up a vote. And at the time that we're bringing you this recording, they are right now making that vote. But the expectation, based on what I've been told by a member of the council who introduced legislation to potentially disband KCRHA, the expectation was this vote might be unanimous. Even if it's not unanimous, it is likely this will be supported today by the majority of the King County Council. And this comes after a recent audit found the agency tasked with addressing homelessness countywide had a $44.7 million deficit and was unable to account for about $13 million in taxpayer funds. Now, as reported recently by the Center Square, the audit also put KCRHA's executive Kelly Kinninson in the spotlight because she has distanced herself from this review that's been going on. There have been multiple meetings in recent months, and in many of those instances, she's not there. She's been a no-show, even as the audit was saying, what's going on with all this money? How are you spending it? You're under the spotlight. Seems that she should have been there to answer. And in many cases, she was absent. So she is under intense scrutiny for these twice weekly meetings that have been going on in recent months leading up to the results that came forward. Now, while the auditor and the audit did not find specific proof of fraud, there was, according to this audit, missing funds that were used to provide services to the homeless. So what has happened with the missing money? Where is that going to show up? The scrutiny continues at this point, even as the King County Council moves to potentially today disband the King County Regional Homeless Authority. So today I spoke with King County Council member Stephanie Feain just ahead of the vote by the council, and she is in fact the council member who introduced legislation. She's a Democrat, but she said we couldn't ignore the findings of this recent audit. We had to move forward and make some changes. And even though she's a new council member, just took her position, voted in last November, took her position in January, she said she has been watching some of the concerning findings with the King County Regional Homeless Authority in recent years.
Well, I sponsored the legislation to take a kind of good governance approach to the proposed motions. So Councilmember Dembowski submitted a motion last week proposing to do a vote on shutting down KCRHA. And I am working with Councilmember Barone on proposing a step one to that process, which is to kind of take a measured approach and make sure that we're getting all of the information we need to decide whether or not KCRHA should continue, if it should continue in the same format, or simply be shut down. The findings of the audit were incredibly serious and alarming. And as a new KCRHA board member in January, it has been pretty shocking. That being said, we still need to do this in a reasonable way so that we're ensuring continuity of services and making sure that we are looking ahead at if KCRHA doesn't work, what is going to be best for both the people receiving the services and the people providing the services, and then, of course, all of us taxpayers paying into the system.
So in our conversation earlier today, I kind of pressed Councilmember Feain to say, hey, wait a minute, taxpayers are looking for accountability, whether there was fraud or just there's been an abuse of some of the funds. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in recent years for an agency tasked with addressing homelessness, while in fact, the numbers have only gotten worse countywide. And so she said, I agree with you. Taxpayers deserve some accountability here.
This is just the straw that broke the camel's back. It is just this last piece of frustration and also with some real concern around what are we doing truly to move the needle on providing homelessness services. And so I completely understand the frustration. That being said, I just want to make sure that we're doing it in a way that ensures we are not losing any federal funding, that we are able to create a system that's better than the one we have. I think KCRHA was created in a heightened time, and it was not as carefully thought through as it could have been. And I think I would like to encourage my colleagues and our community to really allow the time needed to build a better way, whether that's with the current KCRHA format or something else.
There have been some members of the Seattle City Council who are also calling for the potential dismantling of KCRHA, including Councilmember Bob Kettle, who chairs or serves rather as chair of the Public Safety Committee. This is what he said recently after that audit. He said the results of the recent KCRHA audit are damning. It shows an epic and consistent failure of leadership at the top of the agency, especially at its start. It also reveals the failure of leadership of the county and the city. The audit reveals troubling systemic issues that can no longer be ignored. Um, I want to tease you with that because I'm getting an opportunity to, on Wednesday morning, interview uh, City Council Member Kettle and kind of get his take on really what he's been one of the only members that have, for quite some time now, been saying we need to hold this agency accountable. So you've got the city of Seattle moving away from KCRHA, the King County Council doing the same thing, whether it's going to be a complete disbanding of this agency, as many have called for, or it's just going to be further accountability, some scrutiny, another oversight layer, give them some more time to fix things. That remains to be seen, but it's something we're going to be closely following.